Okay. Today we will be discussing the difference between absorption costing and ABC costing. The difference between absorption costing and ABC costing, right? Now, what is the difference between them? We just have this question, just have a look at this question because it will be very easy to understand. Now, imagine you are the owner of this company, right? Just have a look here, man, please. Suppose that Copeland manufactures 4 products, W, X, Y, and Z, right? So you manufacture how many products? 4. W, X, Y, and Z. So the output and cost data for the period just ended are as follows. Now they have given you all the information. So let's suppose for W product, they have produced how many units? 10. Okay. For X, they have produced 10 units. For Y, they have produced 100 units. And for Z, they have produced how many units? 100 units. Now, so far, we can see, because normally we assume that the product which we are producing more will cost us more, right? So we can say that W and X, we are producing only 10 units. So they might be costing us lesser as compared to Y and Z. Why? Because we are producing for Y and Z 100 units. So normally we understand like this, right? But as a cost accountant, you need to understand that how much these units are consuming the cost, right? So you can see here that in order to produce these units, you need to run some production processes. In order to produce W, you have to run your process how many times? 2 times. You know, sometimes it happens. I mean, if you can take an example of printing press, they have to start up the machine. It takes time. It costs you a lot. Then you print something, right? So we are just assuming that if we produce 10 units of W, it will take 2 times the process to run. Similarly for X, but if you can see for Y and W, they require 5 times production to be run. Now, from this point of view, we can understand that obviously we are producing lesser unit for W and X. That is why they are requiring lesser production runs. But as far as Y and Z are concerned, so we are producing more units and they are requiring more production run. Now, from these figures, we can also assume that the product which is consuming more production runs will cost us more as compared to those products which are consuming lesser production runs. Is this clear? Okay. So far, we can say that we are producing 10 units for W, and how many production runs are required? 2. For X, 10 units, how many productions are required? 2. But for Y, we are producing 100 units and it is requiring 5 production runs. So far we can say that W and X, they are producing less units. So that is why they are requiring less production runs as compared to Y and Z, because they are producing 100 units of Y and Z and they are requiring more production runs. Okay. But when we look at the material cost per unit, then we can see that the scenario will be different. I mean, if you produce 1 unit, this is per unit cost, right? If you produce 1 unit of W, it will cost you $20, right? So how much material cost will be the total? 20 multiplied by 10, it will be 200. I mean, for material, you have to pay $200. And if you produce X, it will cost you $80 per unit. So from these figures, we can assume. Yes. CFS? Yes. Please, welcome. Do you have the extra copy? You have extra copy with you? I have given you 2 copies or 1 copy? 1. Just check it. I think I have given you 2. Okay, no problem. Brother, take this. I would encourage you if you sit with Rizwan. Please sit, yeah. Because when you sit together, you will learn, right? Okay. So for X, we are producing how many units? Again, 10 units, but it is costing us more. So now when we observe the material cost, that shows that which product is expensive, X or W or X? X is more expensive. If we analyze the material cost per unit, right? Captain, how are you? We were missing you. This is for you. Take this. Okay. So X is more expensive as compared to W, right? And then Y, it is costing you how much? 20, right? So it is cheaper, but Z, it is costing you how much? $80. So dear students, I will repeat what we are discussing, right? So far you are observing page number 24, right? So whatever you are observing, it is on the LCD. So I would advise you to just have a look here, right? So we are doing a costing technique and comparison between absorption and ABC. Sir. Yeah. Okay. So what we are doing, costing. This is very important. So you should be very vigilant, right? Because when we doing costing, we need to look every single component that is causing us some cost, right? For a cost accountant, this is very important for you to analyze every single factor which is causing you more cost, so that you can understand how can you control the cost, how can you reduce the cost, and how can you increase the profit, right? So here we have a question. So assume that we are the owner of this company, right? So assume you all are the owner of this company and I'm your accountant. So I'm giving this presentation in front of you. So think like an owner, think like an investor, right? Think like a decision maker. Expressions are changed now. So suppose our company is producing four product, W, X, Y, Z. We are producing four different products, W, X, Y, Z, right? And here is the chart in front of you, and it is telling everything. Now it says for W, manual, we are producing how many units? 10 units. For W and X, we are producing how many units? 10. For Y and Z, we are producing how many units? 100 units. So normally we can say, if we just have a look at output units. Now, you will not look at your notes, you will look at in front of it, right? It's better if you can come here. Yeah. So if we just analyze the output units, if we just analyze output units, then we can say which factor will be causing us more cost. What do you think? Yes. Which product will be costing you more? W, X, Y, Z. No, if you just analyze the output units. Y and Z. This is common sense, now, because we are producing more units for Y and Z. So it is normally understood that Y and Z will be causing you more cost as compared to W and X. Okay, now we have another variable, which is number of production runs in the period. I mean, if we produce that particular product, how many production we need to run? Production run mean number of processes we need to run to produce that product. Now, if we just analyze this variable, for W, we need to run how many production runs? 2. For X, 2. For Y and Z, 5, 5. Okay, if we analyze only this variable, number of production runs, then how can you analyze that which product will be causing you more cost? W, X, Y, Z. Y and Z. Because Y and Z are requiring more processes to run. More production runs are required for Y and Z. Production runs mean number of processes to be run to produce that particular product, right? In the period, right? So far we can say if we consider output and number of production runs, then we can clearly identify that Y and Z will be causing more cost as compared to W and X. But when we look at material per unit, the scenario will be changed. Now, how much material is required to produce one particular unit of that product? Now, for W, we require 20 to pay producing one unit. For X, $80. For Y, 20. And for Z, 80. Now you can see if we just look at this variable, material cost per unit, just have a look at this variable. From this variable, we can say, if we just look at the material cost, we can say that W and Y will be cheaper as compared to X and Z, because the material cost for X and Z will be higher as compared to W and Y. Is this clear? Okay, perfect. Now we have direct labor hours and machine hours. So it is the same. I mean, direct labor hours mean how many hours our labor will work to produce that unit. So in order to produce one single unit of W, the labor need to work for 1 hour. But in order to produce one unit of Y, labor need to work for 3 hours. So from this perspective, we can say that X and Z will be more expensive as compared to W and Y, because W and Y are requiring only one direct labor hour and one machine hour. Is this clear? Perfect. Now it says that direct labor cost per hour is $5. Per hour, direct labor cost is 5 hours. So we can say if we produce one unit for W, it will cost us $5. But if we produce one unit for X, it will cost us $15. Right? Clear? Is this clear? Okay. Now we have other overheads. This is very important. Other overheads mean other additional cost which we incur in the company. So there are short-run variable costs, setup cost, expediting, scheduling cost, material handling cost, and the sum is 30,800, right? So we need to use first absorption costing and then we jump into the ABC. Okay. So my dear students, I will tell you how do we proceed with absorption costing. So question is clear? Yes or no? I have discussed every single point, right? So say with energy, yes. Still, no energy, my brother. Things are very simple. Why you guys are so much? Huh? Okay. Now let us move to absorption costing. Wow. Just have a look at the whiteboard. Absorption costing. Okay. I will give everything to you. You have got the recorded lesson. I will give the printout. I will also send this file in the WhatsApp group. So just pay attention what we are doing, right? So first of all, we need product. So we have 4 product, W, X, Y, and Z, right? Am I right? Okay. So the first thing we will write is output units. So for W, how many units you are producing? Yeah. How many units you are producing? 10. For X, 10. For Y, 100. For Z, 100. Okay. Then we have number of production runs. Number of production runs. For W, how much? 2, 2, 5, 5. Then we have material per unit, 20. It is in dollars, right? It is in dollars. $20. Then $80. then $20, sorry, $20, and then $80, right? Okay, guys. Any problem? We are just listing all the data. After that, direct labor hours per unit. So how many direct labor hours per unit we require? 1, 3, 1, 3. And similar like machine hours. Machine hours per unit. 1, 3, 1, 3. So far, I've just copy paste all the data here, right? Anything complex? No. Okay, if I calculate here, sorry, I can also write here direct labor cost per hour, right? This is per hour. And how much is this? $5 for every unit, right? $5 for every unit. Okay, if I have to calculate direct labor cost per unit, if I have to calculate direct labor cost per unit, how can I calculate it? If I have to calculate direct labor cost per unit, 5 multiplied by per unit. This multiplied by which variable, Emmanuel? Direct labor cost per unit. No, we have per unit. I'm talking about per unit. So I will multiply it with direct labor hours per unit, right? Is this clear? Because for W, I have to spend 1 direct labor hour per unit. But for producing X, I have to spend 3 hours. Clear? No problem. Perfect. Okay. So if I calculate, okay, done. These things are complete. Now we have to calculate our absorption rate. Total overheads. And how much total overheads we have in the question? 3080, right? 30800. This is the total overheads. And we assume total direct labor hours. Okay, can we calculate total direct labor hours? Can we calculate this? Before that, can we calculate this total direct labor hours for every product? Now for W, how many total direct labor hours we have to spend? Sorry, 10, right? This multiplied by 10 because it only requires 1 hour to produce 1 unit. Now, how many units you are producing? 10. Absolutely right. For Y, for Y30, for X30, Y100 and Z300. Clear? So the total will be the sum of this all. What is the sum of this all? 440. 440, 440, 440, 440. It is not in dollars. It is in, not in currency. It is simple numbers. Right, sir? So total, how many hours we work? 440. Out of 440, we work 10 hours for W, 30 hours for X, 100 for Y and 300 for C. Now we calculate overhead absorption rate per direct labor hour. So we divide this by this, we will get this $70 per direct labor. This is absorption rate. This is very important, which we need to find out. Overhead absorption rate on the basis of direct labor hour. So we divide by total overheads divided by direct labor hours. Okay, now we talk about costing. Now should be very vigilant, please. First of all, we have material, right? Material cost. Okay. So how much is the material cost, brother and sisters? $20. And how many units we are producing? 10. Wow. So it will cost us 200. Am I right? Yes. For X, how much? Right? Then we have direct labor cost. Okay, so how much cost we are paying for per unit? 5 multiplied by how many units we are producing? 10. So it will give us 50, 150, 500 and 1500, right? And then we have total overhead. And how do we calculate this absorption rate? This is per unit, right? Multiply by, sorry, per direct labor hour. How many labor hour we work? 440, right? So this will be, sorry. We will take this 70 and we multiply by how many labor hours we work? For every product, 10. So 700 for 8. And this is the total, 2100, 7,020. Everybody. So the total cost will be is equal to sum this will be the total cost. And if we need to divide by per unit cost, how will find the per unit cost? 950 divided by 10 number of units now. So it will give 95, 305, 95, 305. Reflect, discuss. Any question, do let me know, please. Wow. This $70? Okay. This is overhead absorption rate per direct labor hour. Okay, first tell me how, from where did I get 440? From where did I get 440? It is the sum of this 10, 30, 100, 300. Okay, it is the sum of this. You just check the sum here, 440, right? So then you divide this total overhead by this total direct labor hours worked. Sorry, brother. Total overheads, which year? 3,800? 70? 700? B13 multiplied by BLM. Let me write the formula in front of you so that you guys can easily understand. You will send this to us, right? I will send you by WhatsApp. I'll give you print. I'm always available at WhatsApp. So don't be worried, right? E8, E6, right? E8, E6, right? This is given. For this, E6, E3, E6, E3, right? This is given. This E10 divided by E12, E10 divided by E12, right? For this, E5, E3, E5, E3. For this, E9, E3, E9, E3, okay? For this, E13, E11, E13, E11. This is sum, and this is E18 divided by E3, E18 divided by E3, okay? Right? Okay, guys? Now move to ABC casting, and then we will compare this. This is known as absorption costing. We call it what? Absorption costing. Now there is another technique which is known as ABC costing. Now, you guys need to be very focused. So here, the only difference we will see, this is similar, right? This is absolutely similar. No change in this. Right? No change in this. The only change we see is the overhead. Okay. Now, right? Okay, now you guys tell me in the question. Yeah, we have this question, right? We have this question. This short run variable cost, how much is the total? 3080. This is the total short run variable cost. So we will charge it according to the direct labor hours. We will charge it according to the direct labor hours. So we write here short run. You guys not need to note anything, just pay attention, right? Short run variable cost, and it is how much? $3080 total, right? It is total. So we can write it like this. It's total. So here we will write short run variable cost product wise. And how do we do that? Is equal to, this is the total amount. No? This is what? Total amount divided by how many total hours we work? 440. And for product W, how many hours we work? and the sum will be 3080. Am I right? Is this clear? Emmanuel, looking tense, holding nerve. Huh? Is this clear? Okay, done. Now the next cost we have is setup cost, right? Setup. No, I'll send it. Just wait for 10 minutes. Setup cost. How much is the total? Dollar 10,920, right? This is the total now. Okay, setup cost will be allocated on the basis of number of production runs. So total, how much is the total number of production runs? How total? 2 plus 2 plus 5, 5, 14. 14, 14, 14, 14. So here I will write setup cost is equal to this setup cost. And it will be how much? Setup cost total divided by total number of production run multiply by number of production run for only W. So if you take this total, it will be 10,920. Agreed? Wow. Now, next thing we have expediting, expediting and scheduling cost, right? So what is the total? Dollar 9,100. And it will also be allocated on the basis of production runs. So 9,100 divided by 14 multiply by and finally we have materials handling cost. And it is total how much? 7,700. And it will also be allocated on the basis of production runs. Material handling cost is equal to 7,700 divided by 14 multiply by 2. So it will be this and it will be this. Now we have total cost. It will be is equal to sum so your total cost will be this. And if you have to find out the per unit cost, it will give you this divided by number of units. This is per unit cost. Now you just note it, and then I'll tell you the complete analysis. Or rather, if I give you the print, okay, I'll give it. Just hold on. CFS Friday. CFS week 4. Brother Emmanuel, what happened? Why you are taking deep breaths? Is everything fine?
It's getting harder.
No, 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 it's getting interesting. Don't say harder. When you say harder, you think harder. When you say interesting, yeah, very interesting. It's like video game, playing game and everything. I'll send the print, right? I'll send the print and I'll send WhatsApp as well. No problem. This is my duty. There is no need for. Thank you. Nephros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 copies. So far, if you have any question, just do let me know. Then we'll move for the analysis. Okay. TFS. Friday. Yeah. Can you see the? I've sent you the file, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Just reflect, understand, discuss. Meanwhile, I'll read the prayers.
Fascinating to absorption hospitals having activity-based hospital. So ang ginawa niya before, ang last weeks, and hindi, ang both ang system the absorption was stayed. Even if the first way, way,
Yeah, it's just. Then I'll tell you very important point. Because we have to compare the results. We have to compare these values. These values with these values. And then we'll do the analysis. Okay, can we do the analysis? Please just have a look here. Now, what is the difference between absorption costing and ABC costing? The basic difference is in ABC costing, we just take this overhead absorption rate and we apply it to every unit. You can see the only difference we observe, if you see this material labor cost here and here, you will find no difference. It is absolutely same. Am I right or wrong? When we use absorption costing or when we use ABC costing, the Material cost and direct labor cost is absolutely same. No difference at all. But when it comes to overhead, you can see the difference. Now, in ABC costing, we use this absorption rate and we simply multiply with the number of units. But in ABC costing, you might be noticing we are allocating each and every overhead rate according to their cost driver. This is what I have been discussing in the beginning of the question. Just analyze each activity for each unit. Right? Now, just imagine what is the cost, what is the per unit cost of W in absorption costing? It's 95. But when it comes to ABC costing, it is 482, sorry, 428. Okay. The cost of X in absorption costing is 305. Here it is how much? 512. Y 95. Here is how much? 131. And Z 305 and here is how much? 215. It means if we follow absorption costing, we will what we call it? Undervalue. We will undervalue these costs. Is one. We will undervalue these costs if we use absorption costing, and we will overvalue this if we use absorption cost.
So which one is better? This is absorption.
You tell me which one is better.
ABC.
ABC, absolutely. ABC is best. Because ABC is giving you clear-cut picture. Whereas absorption is giving you misleading figures. Now imagine if you follow ABC and you set any price, what price you will set? Imagine for product W is one. What selling price? Selling price you will set for. Selling price you will set for. You will set for W. Any price because the cost is 95. So we can sell it for 100. We can sell it for 310. Am I right? We can sell it for 100. We can sell it for 310. But in fact, if we estimate selling price on the basis of absorption costing, it will give us misleading figures. Because in fact, your product W and X, these products are consuming more cost. And WXY, Y is the one which is consuming less cost. Now you can see here, you can compare it. How many units you are producing? This is per unit cost, right? Yeah, I'm specifically talking about per unit cost. So we are producing how many units? 100 units of what? Of Y. Okay, secondly, the advantage of ABC costing, it will give you more clear picture. You can re-estimate cost with the change of very single factor. Now let me tell you one thing. Imagine if your W, it uses 3 production runs. If W uses how many production runs? 3. So you just change 2 by 3. The figures will be changed. You can estimate the cost. Or let's suppose you work for 8 labor hours. The figures will be changed. Now it will give you clear-cut picture for every single component, but absorption costing cannot reveal this. because it is not considering number of production runs at all. Let me remind you. Absorption costing is not considering number of production runs at all. Am I right or wrong? Because they are specifically talking about direct labor hours. They are not considering number of production units. But you can see in ABC costing, the number of production runs have significant impact on the cost. So whether you produce 10 times, whether you have to run 10 times production runs, 100 times, absorption costing has nothing to do with that. Is this clear? So meanwhile, we will get this print and thank you so much. So guys,